topology, right? Linux or for Apple devices, which is based off a Unix-based operating system or kernel configuration, you have to use the interface config or IF config. Okay, but for Windows, it's IP config. Great. So two key commands that you want to pay attention to on a daily basis if you're going to be a network engineer, or even if you want to just troubleshoot simple devices within a given network. You're having connectivity problems. You want to basically try to figure out what's going on. Ping. Let it be on your fingertips. Use them as and when you need them. Okay, from today onwards. The other one is trace sets. Trace sets are used to trace network from hop to hop. So assuming you want to identify whether there's a problem coming from your connection to your ISP's end, or from your end to maybe the hop between you and the ISP, you can use the trace set to basically kind of streamline the various hops that it takes to get to a particular node within a given network. So assuming I want to basically find out how many nodes or how many hops I have to go through just to get to a particular device, there's a Facebook or what have you, I can do this. I can type the trace set. Trace set Facebook. And it will start basically narrowing down the various hops that I take all the way till I get to Facebook. So in the first thing, I'm going through my router here, which is 1.1. So this is my router here. So the first hop is my router. From this PC here, it goes from my PC to my gateway, which is my router. And then from there, it starts basically going to the ISP's next hop. But I've disabled some of these services on my network for security reasons, so it wouldn't be showing up, okay? But if you don't have that, if you don't have some of these things disabled your network, it will show up, it will basically run smoothly, okay? So let's try to trace set on this over here. So let's say we want to trace how many hops we need to get through just to get to our server. So we take trace set, server is 192.168.1.10. So that basically walk us through. There's no hub. There are no hub because if you think about it, we only go through the switch and then it gets forwarded. Okay, so there's obviously no hub between that. But as soon as we introduce a router, that's when you're gonna see your hubs indication. Okay, we'll get to that very soon. Okay. Okay, so that's the third command that you want to pay attention to. Okay, so if you want to find the hops, it's good to use trace set to basically troubleshoot the hops that might be giving you a headache on your network. Especially if you're having issues trying to access a given device, you want to figure out if the problem is coming from you and a given node on route to that particular device that you're trying to access. It will give you all that information. SSH is purely for remote access. If you want to enable remote access for remote management or whatever, then you enable SSH. Yep. So like for instance, if I want SSH into my router, I already have SSH for Windows embedded into my DOS. So I just type SSH and then my router, 168.101. I've not enabled SSH on it, but it gives me an option. I think I did, but I might have deleted it or something. I don't remember. But so when I type my password, it will just allow me to give access to my router's interface. Yes, I've not configured it, so it's denying me of access. But assuming I configured it, then you can just type SSH, the login, so the username at that IP address, and they'll give you access to it. But I've disabled some of these for specific reasons. Okay. Okay. So 3 key commands that should be in your fingertips. Okay. So now we know there's communication on here. Now let's go to the HR department. And oh, before that, let's go to a server. Question, yeah, who's the question? That's the question. Okay, I'm not getting the question, so I'm gonna go ahead. So now let's go to our server. Let's enable a small website on our server, okay? So we have a server over here. Where are you? I don't know who you are. Okay, that's you here. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So with the 3 command keys.
Yes. You went off, man. Okay. While we wait for you to come back online, let's continue. So on our server, we want to be.
Yeah. So with the 3 command keys you gave us, what about the Mac users? Because I tried it on my Mac and they are not working.
Yeah.
It's only IF config that worked out with the traces and the ping.
Listen to me. Ping works for both for any operating system, whether you are Linux based or Mac based. It will work. ipconfig only works for Windows based. They are Windows proprietary. And then trace set also only works for Windows based. For Apple, it is trace set route. So trace route. This is for, so this is for it's mostly for Unix machines, and Apple your MacBook it's a Linux base, so that's Unix. This is Windows. This is Windows as well. This is Universal. It's Universal. The Linux base for ifconfig is for Unix base. Yeah, so every operating system and their respective command. So you got this? So trace route for Unix-based machines, that includes Apple, Linux, blah, blah, blah. Yes, all of the Solaris Unix-based commands, they go with trace route, trace set for Windows, ifconfig for the Unix, ipconfig for Windows, and this is universal. Ping is universal. Oh. Okay, so now we have a server. We want to basically add a web server to it. Our server comes with a number of services. So to access those, click on services, and you see a number of services from web services, DHCP services, version 6 versions, your file transfer for storing files off your routers and switches are here. So your TFTPs, your DNS, your syslog, your IAAA authentication settings, your time, servers, NTP, emails, FTP, IoT, VMware management, radius authentication is also here. So it comes with a number of services. Let's just focus on the web server services here, which are HTTPS. So currently it's already on. It's by default, it's been enabled, so it's already on. So we already have both HTTP, the standard, and HTTPS for secure connection already on, running. So let's figure out what kind of website is already running on that web service. To do that, let's go to one of these machines over here. Click on it, and then go to web browser. Okay, click on web browser. And when the browser pops up, type in the URL, the IP address of the server. It's 192.168.1.10. So this is the current website or web page that's housed on our web server here. It says Cisco Packet Tracer. Welcome to Cisco Packet Tracer, opening doors to new opportunities, mind wide open. And also has some quick links, you know, to other images and copyrights, disclaimers and what have you. Okay. Now let's edit this page over here and change this whole blah blah over here to our customized interface or our customized site. To do that, go back to the server and then edit the index page. The index page is usually the root folder or the root file that most of your key HTML tags are stored in. So we want to edit that. And this is the HTML tag, the HTML tag that basically gives us that information. So if you copy this into Notepad, let me use a new one. Or cancel, let me use a new window instead. This is what you have. This is your standard HTML tag. It starts open, it opens with the HTML tag and it closes at the end. So it has to, everything else has to be in between it. And with at the center, there is your Cisco packet trace that we saw. Okay, so if you want to center some of these header information, you use center, and then you always close it with a /. So let's get rid of this Cisco packet tracer. Let's delete it. So we basically write the code for our website, and instead, let's change it to Tally. Let's say the finance department wants to house a Tally's the web-based version of Tally accounting software. We're going to use Tally ERP system. Okay, and then the header information. Let's change that. The welcome to Cisco. Let's make it welcome to. So get all of this stuff here. Welcome to finance Tally ERP software system. And then let's get rid of some of the links over here. We don't need them. Delete them. And just leave the quick link so we can add links in the future if you want to other services that the finance unit wants to run within their unit. Okay. Once you're done, you can just copy it, go back to your server, delete the old one, and paste a new one now, and save it. So we basically written a new website code to run on our web server here. So once you're done, you can close it. And now let's go back to this PC here and try to access our new code. Go to browser. And I'll type the IP address of the server, 192.168.1.10. So you notice the new information that we keyed into our HTML tag is now showing. So Tally ERP system, welcome to finance Tally ERP software system. So you basically just develop a small website, you know. So all the websites that you see online, the one that you ask on a daily basis, from your GhanaWeb.com to your JoyFMWebsite.com, whatever it is, Google, BBC, CNN, is just simple commands, simple tags, either via PHP or PHP language or other JavaScripts or other standard HTML commands. It's all that they're using to basically display some of those things on their web pages. So you've just done a simple one. You just edited a small website and then incorporated all kinds of other stuff to change the tags in there and blah, 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 you know? So you can build up on some of these to have a volatile system that will become maybe a website for you and what have you. So that's the basic of just website pages and how they code it. Okay, great. Everybody with me on this? So now, if you're here on this laptop, the same thing. You should be able to access the finance web server and its application. So I'm on the laptop, 192.168.1.10. The same thing comes out. Okay, folks. So now that web server running on this particular server is accessible by all of the devices within that particular unit or within the finance unit. Are we good? Are we good, folks? Okay, so now let's move on to the HR, the same concept. Agbeka Robert, it's all on the YouTube channel. It's all over here. Robert, it's all over here. Okay, it's all been recorded already. There are 5 parts of it, part 1, part 2, part 3. They're already on the YouTube channel. Go and watch it. Okay, it's already over there. I've already done the videos for them. Okay. So now let's go to this unit, this part of it, the HR unit. Assign IP addresses. Or first things first, let's label the IP address. We are going to be on a .2 network now. So our server here, 192.168.2, that's 0, sorry, that's 10/24. And then PC0 or PC5, in this case PC3, 192.168.2.101/24. 192.168.2.102/24. Okay, so you can just do them and then assign IP addresses. So let's go and let's start with the server first. I'm just replicating the exact same thing that I did over here, that we did over here, but IP assignments. But in this case, I'm going to be on a .2 instead of .1 because we have 2 separate networks. So desktop, IP configuration, IP blah, 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 168.2.10/24. This one here, 192.168.2.101. Oh, yes, correct. This one here, desktop, 192.168.2.102/24. Okay, so you can do it for the rest. Are we good? Okay, somebody said let's use the DHCP. Okay, so let's go to our server and then enable DHCP services. I like that idea. So DHCP server, currently it's off. So now we want to enable it. And then let's specify our starting IP address. I'm going to start from 192.168.2.101, 101, and it's still /24. Okay. So it's been enabled, and I just save that. So it's been saved. So I'm just starting my IP from 101, sorry. From 101. But currently, we've assigned those to those devices. We're gonna have to go back and delete them. So let's save it. Okay. Close and then go back to this device. And then instead of making it static, click DHCP and watch it get the first IP address from the DHCP server. See, successful request came through. Go to the second PC, get rid of the static, make it DHCP 102. So the rest should pick up IP address as well, based on their request. So the laptop, you go to desktop IP configuration and you indicate DHCP 103. See that? So they've been assigned IP address dynamically from the DHCP server. The same thing with these guys as well. DHCP 104. It's just for the sequence. Anyway, so that's what you got. Now let's go to server. Let's change our HR website server. Copy the code. In this case, delete it. Go back to your HTML tags. And now we're going to change this to maybe, this is going to be a CRM or customer relation management system. So our HR is running a CRM system. So welcome to HR or human resource CRM software system. And then you can just copy it. Go back to that system and paste it. Save it. Yes. Minimize. Minimize. Now, let's say you're on one of these devices, in this case, PC3. Go to your browser. And then type the IP address of the server, 168.2.10. And then you have your customer relations management system. Welcome to HR CRM software system. Everybody good? So I'm just replicating the same thing across, that's all. Now let's try to see if we can get these two networks to interconnect. If we want to connect these two networks together so they can be able to talk to each other. So when you are at the HR, you can still access finance website, or when you're at finance, you can access the HR software. What do we have to do, folks, to do that? To cut down time, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. You have to introduce a router because you have two separate networks. Routers are designed to forward packets from one network to another. And since we have two separate networks, we're going to need a router in between these two devices. Let's introduce a router. And I'm going to use the, let me use the 1941 router. So here's our router over here, and we need to connect them. So we're going to use cable, a straight to cable from our switch. I'm going to pick the uplink ports and then connect it. So one of the gigabit ports over here and a cable interface to a switch. Good. So we have a connection or a cable connecting the two networks via a router. If you notice, they are red, the connections are red. That's because by default, a router's interface are turned off. You can use any of the routers. I'm just using the 1941 router series, that's all. Because it's a small network, so I'm just using the 1941. So Hamza is just a router. They all do the same thing. Okay. You can pick the 200 series, the 300 series, up to you. I'm just using the 1900 series. Okay. Okay, great. If you notice, we have red. That's simply because routers interface are turned off, are switched off by default. So we have to enable that interface if we wanted to basically forward information back and forth between the two networks. So to accomplish that, we have to learn the basic commands of how to configure a Cisco router. So to do that, let's click on a Cisco's router and then go to your command line interface, the CLI. So this is a command line interface here, or the IO has been booted. We don't want to use a dynamic configuration, so we want to go with no. So whenever you log onto a Cisco device, either a switch or a router, this is some of the things that you might come up with. The first level, there are various levels of the device settings that you need to comply with. The first level is the user interface or the user level, or what you call the user mode. This is where logins and what I've used are presented. So if there was a security login attached to configured on the router, once you hit this greater than sign, it means you're at the user level. You have to basically key in that login credential before you can gain access to the next level of the router. But since we don't have any security settings, we'll just move from there. To move from the user mode to a privilege mode, you have to use the enable command, or EN for short. The first two characters will put you into the privilege mode. Okay, so privilege mode is where you can basically see the system configuration settings, the various iOS, like using the command show version, tells you show version, typo. Tells you the Cisco iOS settings, the various interfaces it has, how long it's been online, where it's coming from, the make, the manufacturer, the series number, the iOS, the security data, the registries and what have you. It has all of this information, the IO image, the version. It tells you how long it's been active, compile date and everything. It gives you all a lot of information from that particular mode. Okay, so show version gives you the versions, the software versions, the image, what have you, how long it's been running, blah, blah, blah. It tells you a lot of information. So if you want to figure out what the system has to offer, the memory capacity and what have you, it tells you all of those details over here. Okay, folks. So that's another privilege mode. Now, if you want to move to the next level to actually configure the router or the switch or that network device and a Cisco, then you have to use the config terminal or config T. So let me put them down. So let's get rid of this. So you have router, let's see, a user mode or user level / level. Router $. To move from the user mode to the next mode, you type enable. Enable puts you into the privilege mode. So then this changes to the pound sign. And this way you know you are within the privilege mode. Privilege mode. Okay. And if you want to move from the privilege mode to configuration mode, you type config terminal or config T for short. And that will put you into the global configuration mode. So I'll put you here. router config. So here you can do a number of cool